All right. Hey, guys. How's everybody doing? All right. I think we got about half you guys, but I want you to look at these screens and think about that again. How's everybody doing? All right. We are so thrilled you could join us. We have a terrific guest in store for you guys. Any Ed Westwick fans in the house? Yeah, we are really happy he's here to talk about Wicked City. Joining Ed today is going to be our good friend from EW, Robin Ross. But before we get started, we want to check out a clip from the show, but we also want to make sure you guys are ready to hear from Ed. So are you guys ready to get it started? All right, well, let's check out the clip, and then we'll bring him out. Thanks so much.
Hello?
Kent, I can't come tonight.
What do you mean you can't go to the whiskey night?
I got called into work. I'm sorry.
I'm meeting another friend there, too. There's something I want to show you that I think you'll like. It'll be a party. Just tell them you're sick and you gotta go home.
God, I wish. But, you know, I have my patients and...
I thought we had a real connection.
What? We do. Please, understand.
Understand? How about understand me? What about my needs?
Oh, Kent, you know I'll take care of your needs tomorrow night when...
I don't think I can make it. See ya.
Wait, Kent. Kent, hello?
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Robin Ross and Ed Westwick.
Hello.
Okay, I've been here a bunch of times. I have never heard screaming like that here. You've got some fans.
How are you?
How's it going? How's it going, everyone?
Good.
Good?
Yeah, just trying to organise this big coat here. But yeah, I'm all right.
So you are going from the swanky Upper East Side to the seedy Sunset Strip.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about this role, how it all came to be, and about the show.
Yeah, well, a bit of background on the show is it's 1982 on the Sunset Strip with the sex, drugs, and rock and roll of the time. And there's a serial killer on the loose, which is my character, Kent Granger. And it's a cat and mouse between him and the police who are obviously trying to stop this monster. And that's our world, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we saw a little bit. They've been promoting some darker clips than that, but how dark does it get?
It gets pretty dark. I mean, he's a guy who's into necrophilia, which is as dark as it, dark as it can get. Yeah, no. Yeah, so that's pretty out there, and you know, there's a few headless bodies floating around, and so it gets very dark to answer that question.
Yeah, I heard that you got nightmares while filming the pilot. Is that true?
From time to time, yeah. I mean, it's a little bit freaky, and it's a bit crazy trying to put yourself into the mindset of somebody who's as much of a monster as that guy, you know. So there were one or two uncomfortable moments, but it's part of the sacrifice, I guess.
Yeah. Well, talk about getting into that sort of headspace of playing a serial killer. Is there something you do to sort of go there, or is it just all a part of the character?
Well, I mean, for me, I was, when we started with the project and the character, and I was trying to, you know, create that world and everything like that, I was thinking about, you know, who do we know from real life, from history that was close to this? And I mean, one that stuck out was obviously Ted Bundy, who was known for his charm and his charisma, and his ability to control a room and control people. And I thought that was something that I could use as a reference for my character. But then I realized the more I began to know and read as the scripts kind of came in, is that my character was a very certain unique psychopath. He was very individual in that respect, and there were so many different layers to him. There are so many different layers to him that I kind of didn't have a blueprint to follow. I kind of just had to really just think on my toes, and go for it. I mean, just to give you a little bit kind of information and context, there's, on the surface, he is a monster that goes out and kills people. But there's several interesting dynamics and layers, as I say. For example, he has this relationship with a young girl next door who he babysits for. And he appears to have this genuine, compassionate, caring, nurturing relationship and regard for her. And whenever we're thinking about psychopaths or serial killers or anything, what we know from psychological understanding is that they have no empathy, they have no ability to have any genuine connection with anyone else. And that's how I first took this character, thinking that this relationship was just part of his kind of scam, as it were, part of his web. But it appears to be very genuine. And so for me, it just threw up all of these things, which made it 1,000 times more interesting and intriguing. And I knew from that point on, and that was you see that first kind of time with the young girl in the pilot. And I knew when we were doing that it was going to be a very
viewers, in a sense, might be rooting for him. I mean, it sounds weird to say, but they're establishing him as this guy who does have other layers besides being a killer.
It does. I mean, it's funny. There's certain things that in any other situation we'd use the term redeeming quality.
Yeah.
But how can you have a redeeming quality if you're a serial killer? I mean, you're pretty much over the line, right? So, but he has these things where he forces you as an audience member, he forced me as the actor playing him to question myself and question how I feel about what I'm witnessing him do. Because yes, he is the monster, yes, he is this terrible thing, but then he has these moments where it's genuine and he feels hurt and he's sad and it's not coming from a selfish place, and he sacrifices himself in certain ways. And so there's all sorts of question marks that are around him, and I think it's just what makes a really interesting character.
Yeah. Everyone got to see a little clip. We have Erica Christensen, and there is a little bit of well, not a little bit. There's a love story that happens. Yeah. Talk about her role and between the two of them, and what might sort of develop.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, first of all, Erica Christensen's fantastic, and we've had such a great time working together. It's an interesting dynamic. I mean, she starts off actually as a potential victim, and then for one reason or another that I won't go into too much because I don't want to spoil it, my character decides that she's not going to be a victim and that maybe there's something else there, and maybe it's fate. And they start a relationship, and again, I don't know how much I'm allowed to say because I don't want to spoil it too much, but there's certainly some Romeo and Juliet-esque Bonnie and Clyde stuff going on, and it's a pretty interesting adventure that they go on. Yeah,
one of the interesting things about the show is we know who the killer is. A lot of these shows you don't. And we see sort of all perspectives. We see the cops. We see his. So is it less about sort of a cat and mouse game the whole season, or more about the journey of someone who maybe is open to change?
Well, I think it's all of that. Obviously, the cat and mouse part is a huge part because obviously we're running riot. Well, my character's running riot around the city, and the police have to get their man. You know. But, he's no fool, and I'm always one step ahead and leaving a very interesting trail along the way. But as much as there's that story going on, there is the romance. It's almost like you meet these two people who have just met each other for the first time and just awakened something within each other, and it's innocent in a twisted, not so innocent way. It's innocent in the way that they have found each other and feel for each other, but so effed up. It really is,
Yeah, and it's a great ensemble cast. In addition to Erica, Jeremy Sisto, Taissa Farmiga. So talk about, do you get to work? I assume maybe not with Jeremy Sisto as much. He does play one of the detectives, but
it's a great cast, and I'm happy I'm in great company. But yeah, I pretty much strictly work with Erica. As of now. We're currently, in terms of shooting, we're about halfway through our season. So, yeah, she's been wonderful. I know everyone else is really enjoying it, and we just can't wait for it to come out, and hopefully everyone else enjoys it, you know?
Yeah, I mean, coming off of Gossip Girl, which I knew that was coming. I was waiting for those screams, which, you know, ran for 6 seasons.
Yeah.
Was it tough to be seen as someone other than Chuck Bass? I mean, did you find that, you know, going out for other roles that people were...
Not for me. I mean, I never saw myself as that person. I knew I was I am Ed Westwick, who's an actor, you know.
But for
but
casting,
look, no, we had so much fun on that, and it was so well received, and people loved it. So that's fantastic, and I'm so grateful for it. I mean, it was an amazing time doing that show, and I mean, it's still great, you know. So no, but I don't think I've in any way met any kind of boundaries or barriers. Sorry, and I think when people see this one as well, it's just it's very different, you know. So that might be a bit of a memory, the Gossip Girl thing, but it's still very cool. And I think what's wonderful is that in this generation with Netflix and everything, you know, there's people who were no way old enough to watch Gossip Girl who are like now watch it because maybe their sister watched it, or I don't know, somebody watched it in their family or something, or friends or whatever. Now they're watching it. So you know what, the work's still out there. I'm proud of it. I enjoyed it, and as long as people enjoy it, that's what it's about, right?
A great part of the show is the 80s, whether that's the music, the wardrobe. Talk about that part of the series. Has that been fun for you? And, I mean, we got to see a little bit of your look. It's more Erica that gets to really rock the 80s.
Well, you know what? You've only seen a sneak preview. So, I mean, as the story develops, what is one of the fun things is that my character is a bit of a chameleon. So, depending on who he's dealing with, who he's talking to, and what's going on, you know, he changes up his look. It's kind of like a who do I want to be tonight type thing. And so, you know, we've got to play around with a lot of different looks, some different hairstyles, some big hair and everything like that, and which is so cool. But no, I mean, the 80s, for me, it's a little, I was born in 87, the show's set in 82, so it's a bit before my time, but it's, as I said, it was like, you know, it's the sex, drugs, and rock and roll of Sunset Strip in 1982. I mean, it doesn't get any more crazy than that. I mean, that's like a line of cocaine in the thing there, which is like crazy.
In case you didn't pick up on that.
It's pretty out there, so there you go. But so it's it's controversial, it's edgy, it's out there, it's exciting, it's an adrenaline rush.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And on that note, with the music, in the first episode, which I've seen, there's some great, I think, Pat Benatar songs. There's some great.
Everything's out. Yeah, I mean, you know, I've got Billy Idol, White Wedding going round and round in my head. You know, 24/7. I love that song anyway. And then we've had some really cool cameos actually so far as well. We had Joe Walsh from the Eagles was on. He played a music video director, and Mickey Rapp was playing a security guard. And so, you know, I mean, there's lots of. We're really kind of using what we can from that era to boost the atmosphere and make it genuine, and it's a fun world to play in.
Well, I know there has been some cameos, and since you're not done shooting yet, if there could be more cameos coming on in terms of 80s bands or former rock stars, like who would be your first call that I want to get him on the show or
I'd like
her on the show?
the real Billy Idol to come down. So, Billy, if you're watching, come on down. I don't know. I'm a big fan of Spandau Ballet, you know, so get a bit of that out. But yeah, Van Halen. I mean, the list goes on, doesn't it? Really. I mean, we could have anyone. So we'll see what happens. Yeah,
and I know you're super into music. Any music for you coming up?
No, although I am partial to a bit of karaoke in Koreatown.
Ooh, what's your go-to karaoke?
It's a bit early right now, though. But,
what's your go-to?
Oh, I don't know. I like a bit of Blondie, Heart of Glass. You know.
Okay.
Yeah.
I know we touched a little bit on Gossip Girl, but your former co-star Chase Crawford is also on ABC.
Yeah.
Is this kind of a really just a fun full circle moment that you guys are back together in a weird sort of way?
It is. Yeah. No, it is funny. And somebody posted a funny photo actually on Instagram, I think it was, of us guys when we were on the red carpet for Gossip Girl and then on a red carpet for ABC, and we were like doing pretty much exactly the same pose, I guess, or like laughing at each other in the same way we were from before. And I mean, look, he's I love that boy. He's fantastic, and you know, he's having a good time doing his show, and I'm getting to do this one. So I think it's a good moment for the network, and it's a good moment for us, and we're going to ride the wave.
Yeah. Before we get to audience questions, we have to talk a little bit about the finale of Gossip Girl. Just have to know.
I don't even remember it.
Well,
what happened?
I just have to know how you really felt about Dan being Gossip Girl.
Oh, I remember that bit, yeah. I remember the day we shot that. Everyone was sitting around like this going, all right, who's it going to be? Okay, it's you.
What'd you think about it after all those years that it was him? Did you ever think it was Chuck?
To be honest, I got so lost in the storyline by that point.
Yeah.
I didn't know what was going on. There's probably people who are more familiar with what was happening than I was. But no, it was, look, it had to tie up some way, so it didn't really make a difference to me who it was. But yeah.
And if you had to sum up your new character, Kent, and Wicked City for everyone, what's the one thing that you're most excited for everyone to get from that character, from this show, from your performance?
Wow. That's a difficult thing to say. I couldn't really sum it up in a sentence, but, it just feels like someone's got their hands around your throat, but in a good way, and I just hope everyone enjoys it, really,
Are you worried about being the source of people's nightmares come October 27th?
Yeah, a little bit, actually, a little bit. We'll see how that goes. We'll see if people cross the street when they walk past me.
Yeah.
I don't know. We'll see.
Okay. I know we have audience questions, so we're going to start to get to those.
Oh. Hi, Ed. My name is Angela. Nice to meet you, or kind of meet you. My question was, I've watched a lot of different things that you've been an actor in, and I wanted to know what the difference is or what you prefer acting in a TV show like Gossip Girl or Wicked City versus a movie like Chalet Girl, which is one of my favorites, or Romeo and Juliet.
Thank you for your question. Yeah, it's they're both quite different. It's a different kind of format, really. Television's a bit more of a production line. You have to get it kind of done in a certain period, and it's a lot more time sensitive, I'd say. And you get it done, and you get it out there. And then with films, you can kind of end up spending a little bit more time on things. Hopefully, if you've got the luxury of the money. But both are quite different. I tend to think that the films, you kind of go away, you focus on something for this, constricted period of time, and then that's it. And it's always a different group of people most of the time. And if you're on a television show for a couple of seasons, you're really almost becoming like a family with the people you work with. You see each other Monday through Friday, 12 hours a day, and maybe, as I say, over a couple of years if you're doing a few seasons. And so it's a different atmosphere, and you really, really bond with people a lot more. And that's, for example, what we had on Gossip Girl. everyone was like family, So it's different in that way. I love them both. Either way, it's I'm very lucky to be working in this industry. It's there's so much talent out there, and it's very competitive. And so I'm very grateful for either, really.
Hi. Nice to meet you.
Hello.
I admire you so much.
Thank you.
From an artistic point of view, how did you approach the character every time with so much honesty, with no judgment, knowing that he was such a vicious?
You're talking about this character, yeah? Yeah. I don't know if I approached it with no judgment. Look, for me, it's just about bringing it alive in whatever way I can, and I don't know. It resonated so much. It just came off the page. It was just so unique that I felt like, all right, let's just throw yourself into it. And that's the only way, because I don't know any serial killers. I'm not a serial killer. It's okay. And so you just have to kind of go with the flow. I read the script. I thought, right, what do I want to do? I had a few ideas. I mentioned the Bundy thing earlier, and you really just had to go with it. So that's how I approach everything. I think about it. I don't know. When a painter's painting, does he really think about what he's painting a lot of the time? Unless he's obviously painting out of the window, but if it's abstract or something like that, right? So I think about it to a certain degree, and then I just let it flow. So yeah.
Hi, I'm Nicole.
Hello.
I was just wondering how you managed to get such a good American accent.
To be honest, I used to watch far too much American television growing up, so that was probably a big part of it. And then, I don't know, I worked pretty hard at it. There's a lot of hours spent talking to myself. And if somebody walked past, they'd probably think I was crazy. And I am a little bit. But I mean, that, and then actually for this, I kind of, there were certain things that required, later on in the story, there were certain things that required, more work. And so, you just kind of think about what you need to do and practice a lot, and hopefully it works.
I don't think there's going to be time.
Hi, thanks for coming.
Hello.
You've worked, you're talking about Erica Christensen as your co-star and working so strongly with her in this show. Obviously, I'm sure everyone here is a fan also of Leighton Meester and the strong work you two did together. Right. Future projects, who is your ideal co-star? Who's someone you would love to work with? Wow,
what a great question. I'm a huge fan of Cate Blanchett, if we're talking female actors. She's amazing. I've loved pretty much everything she's done. So she'd probably be my choice if we're picking one female, and then one male. Wow, again, there's so many. You know what? I was watching. I'll pick a recent one that's kind of come to mind recently. I was watching an old film called A Fish Called Wanda, and I was watching Kevin Kline in that, and he was amazing. So just because it stands out, and also just because I was talking about it backstage, I found this little kind of moustache on a stick back there, and I was messing around with it because why not? And for some reason, I'm wearing a turtleneck. It just reminded me of it. So Kevin Kline to answer the male one, but I mean, there's so many out there. I mean. Wow, we could sit here all day saying names.
Hi, Ed.
Hiya.
I'm Lexi.
Hello.
I'm wondering, for your role in Wicked City, what are a few things that you learned about Los Angeles in the 80s? They're such iconic things that kind of culturally
sex, drugs, and rock and roll. Yeah. What have I learned? That's interesting. Well, I didn't know that it was the serial killer capital of the world, actually, at that time. So our show kind of picks up off the back of the Zodiac Killer and the Hillside Strangler, which we reference in the show, and which our detective, played by Jeremy Sisto, in the show is responsible for capturing and bringing to justice the Hillside Strangler. So I didn't know that. And that was something that kind of blew my mind. Obviously, I mean, it's like any urban place. I mean, there's going to be crime, there's going to be vice, but I didn't know, but to have something as wild and as crazy as being the serial killer capital, I mean, that's just such a crazy thing to get your head around. So I learned that, and that was probably it. I mean, I know quite a bit about LA anyway. I was no stranger to the world of the Strip. I mean, anyone who's visited there has gone up and down, gone past the Viper Room and the Whiskey A Go Go. There's so many amazing musical acts have passed through, and I mean, LA's LA. It's a hell of a town,
You probably learned how awesome the wardrobe was in the 80s, too.
There you go, yeah.
We have one more question.
Hi, Ed.
Hiya.
I'm a huge fan.
Thanks.
I wanted to know, with which character do you identify the most, Chuck or Kent?
Yeah, run. I mean, you know what, I think that, yeah, no, I'm very, very different from this guy. I hope. And no, I mean, I identify with everyone that I've played. I mean, you have to find bits that, you can resonate with, that resonate with you, and that you can identify with. I mean, it just helps you make a character grounded. And so, I mean, yeah, there's definitely more similarities with somebody like a Chuck Bass character who, was, a pretty, all right, given the context, he was a pretty normal guy. He went through a lot of the kind of, most normal things that we all go through, give or take probably being shot and ending up in Prague or something like that. That's like the extreme version. But I mean, I identify with pretty much every one of them. You have to in some way, no matter how big or small that is. Thank you.
All right. Well, thank you guys so much for being here. Check out Wicked City, October 27th, 10 p.m. on
Thanks, guys.
ABC.
Thank you.
Thanks.